it's actually not today. It was yesterday. So.
Well, you look very handsome with your beard. I know I said that already, but I think you should keep it.
Thank you. I'm contemplating it.
Thank you. I mean, like, I'm being serious. But
thinking about getting some.
I'm not trying to be rude.
Please do
a little bit. Please do.
Because it's long enough.
Yeah,
you can have like a Teddy Roosevelt thing going on.
Well, and you should get a pipe. Because the beard would in the pipe. Yeah.
Are we recording?
Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 35 of the HooperCast. This is Hooper, and this is my cast, not yours. I have with me today Mr. Sam Darby.
Hello.
Mr. Jack Conwell.
How you doing?
And myself, again. 2 introductions, because this is my podcast and I can do whatever I want.
What do you fucking do?
I know.
Alright,
anyway, we thought we'd just give a little quick... we just walked out of Les Miserables, and we wanted to...
or as my dad frequently refers to it as the miserable fuckers.
It may describe Sam's ass for being having to sit still so long and becoming dumb.
My ass literally fell asleep in the seat. It became uncomfortable.
Your ass was all tuckered out.
It was.
That sounds like something else happened.
Too poop to
pop. It may have.
Too poop to poop, really?
Yeah.
If we're talking about asses, I mean, we could,
Yeah. Too pop to poop, I guess. No?
I like what I said better.
Alright, fair enough. You would.
I think, I feel like we all generally enjoyed the film.
I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, I had some concern going in because this is different from other musicals in the past where they've pre-recorded the tracks months in advance and then they play those over on the set and you lip sync to them. And then Sweeney Todd did that, except they did have them belt out because you can tell when people are lip syncing, necks and Adam's apple and all that. So the director of this film, Tom Hooper, cast.
No relation.
No.
Sorry to get your heads out there, HooperCast Nation.
He was like, we're gonna have them sing live on, during the take. And I was like, okay.
Ballsy.
Well,
yeah,
it's definitely ballsy.
I think that was probably the best decision because, I mean,
yeah.
You're coming to a musical that's never really been brought to film for good reason. It's not like you're doing the producers or you're doing something else like that.
Right.
It's another. Of course, it's another hit Broadway film, or show, but it's not. There's sets that you can be set in that are very easily to build on a soundstage, and then have like you said, have it all pre-recorded and kind of lip sync to it.
They really pulled that off because I know some people. I think Philip went to go see it, and he thought it was okay. But he was put off because it wasn't, and he and I had a discussion about this before each of us saw the film, and I know that the actors appreciated it because they had said, so much of acting is spontaneous and it's really being in the moment and going through what that character is going through, and to be able to express the level of emotion that's expressed in this film during songs is unreal.
Unbelievable, it really is. And that's when I actually realized that they were actually singing and not lip syncing, because I didn't know that going into it, and I was kind of paying attention to that because I kind of expected it to be that way.
Right.
But when
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, when Anne Hathaway was sitting there crying and singing, that was some powerful stuff.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it tugged at your tear ducts there a little bit.
Yeah.
But it threw me off at first because I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And the three of us were in a production of Les Miserables in high school.
Miserables. Less miserables.
But we were in a production of this in high school, which is like, oh, cool, fuck it, high school. But and I saw it in Birmingham on the stage by the touring company, and with any musical, I mean, you're expecting them to belt it out and hear it because you're trying to get back in the make everybody hear it,
right?
And it wasn't done that way, and it kind of threw me off at first. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I mean, it brings the musical to a whole new life and gives it a whole new feeling for the entire thing.
I agree. I was hoping just for some momentous builds in the actual music and the score, and because that's really, I love this music, and I think being a part of it maybe is
gives you a greater appreciation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And loving the music and knowing the music and knowing these characters and knowing really how profoundly like emotional this entire show is. It was nice to see it. It was nice to look at it both as, okay, we need to show these human beings experiencing these great and terrible things, but also keep the beauty, the melody of this music in there, and really give you the scope of what's going on in a way, like I think the way you said, Sam, was in a way you can't show on stage.
Yeah, there's things that you can't capture on a stage, no matter how hard you try. Like, you always try and break the fourth wall, right? Fifth wall, whatever.
Fourth wall.
Yeah, you always try and break the fourth wall, or not try. Wait, you try to not break it.
I think what you mean is you try to sell them an illusion of like, or just sort of get into their
almost as if the audience is supposed to be a voyeur upon these events that are happening.
Right, but you can't. Like,
there's
only so much belief that you can suspend.
You're
sitting in a theater and watching actors on stage.
Well,
and there's only so much, like I mentioned, like when we walked out of the theater, the set changes and like the subtle, singing under your breath that you just can't do that. In front of like a gigantic audience, because they won't hear you. Like, I'm sure on Broadway there's better production value and they can do significantly better than we ever did, obviously.
Right.
But you're still limited to some extent
on
what you can do.
And also, the amount of just acting in this movie, obviously, because that's what these people are paid to do. But the facial expressions, and they sold every bit of these people being miserable when they were supposed to be being happy, when they're supposed to be being sad, when they're supposed to be. And that's something you just can't do on stage because nobody but the first 5 rows are going to notice it.
And that was one of the things I liked, but occasionally it got to a point where they were just on somebody's face for, it felt like, an extended period of time. Like, but it's a musical. It's not like there's things going on in the background, and when they were normally showing it, but it just got to the point where Russell Crowe's face taking up half the screen, and like they sat there for like a few minutes, and like it was good, but that was one of my only small gripes, is that they felt like they hung around on that just a little bit too much. I feel like you could have had those actors moving around, walking around, still singing, and caught most of it, but I guess that might also have something to do with them singing it live on set too. So
and I think that also comes into play. When you watch a play on the stage, there's a lot of moving around and a lot of interaction because you can do that. Everybody's going to be following whatever. But I think that's kind of an advantage to bringing this to film, is that you don't necessarily have to have that same kind of interaction, because I was sitting here and I don't know if this happened with y'all, but in our production, they had when Cosette and Marius are singing to each other a heart full of love after he's been rescued from the barricade, and Jean Valjean's in the back, like looking through the door and being like, she was never mine to lose. When we did our production, I always we had them out there on the stage together, but they were kind of on opposite sides of the stage, and I kind of always envisioned that as Jean Valjean is left, and he's thinking back, okay, she's happy now, I did the right thing, she was never mine to lose. But it makes more sense that he's standing there watching. Saying, oh my gosh, she's so happy. And that's something you can't really do. And maybe that was just, our productions.
The way we blocked it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, maybe that's not how it's supposed to be. And I think they probably incorporated parts of the book into the movie a little bit.
Well,
better.
that was another thing that I was curious to see. I was curious to see what my reaction would be, because we had done it in high school, and we had at least an idea about we knew the story and how the characters were played when we did it, and I've watched the opera version of it, basically, where they just stand in front of the microphone and sing all the songs with little to no acting whatsoever. I've never actually seen I've heard there's a really good version of the actual
play.
Broadway play, the whole thing that's good on film, but I'd have to ask. I think Ian knows.
There is, and the only reason I know this is because I remember last summer we were sitting up at my dad's house, and it was a PBS give us your money-a-thon.
Yeah,
and they were their big push was this.
HooperCast should have one. HooperCast, give us your money.
Right, checks payable to.
Yeah, for real.
Please support your local podcast.
Yeah.
But they were pushing it was the 50th anniversary of Les Mis or whatever, and they had the current Broadway cast go through the entire play, and they were bringing out the original Jean Valjean and all that, and there's 3 people who've played him on Broadway. It's the original guy, the other dude that's he did a good job, but nobody really knows. And then this guy who's doing it now, who's kind of revived the musical and everything. And they brought him out at the end of the finale, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was phenomenal.
But that's why I was curious to see my reaction, just because I knew, I would say I knew at least a decent amount about the whole show and everything. And I mean, I watched our production of it sort of on film. I didn't really like the way our video was done for it, and I watched it when it was going on, but a lot of that time I was backstage listening to it. So I was curious to see just all the things that I never really got to pay attention to while we were actually doing the show.
Right. Well, and because as well as we think we know the show, I mean, I didn't, when we were doing it, I didn't have any idea how the hell the story went until the last week before we opened.
Yeah. Because
you're working on your part, you're backstage, we're doing something else, and you're practicing, your rehearsals are all out of sync from the way it goes, and it's not until the last week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, that
we put it all.
We all put it on
a full dress
right,
rehearsal.
and then it's this makes sense. This makes a lot more sense.
Now I have context for
exactly.
what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I particularly liked the hanging on their faces for an extended period of time. The entire I Dreamed a Dream is all one shot. One take.
I think it worked in a lot of places. I just think there were a couple places where they did it too long. I think for the majority of the time it worked for what they were doing.
I think it's fair to say that nobody really wants to look at Russell Crowe's face for that long. I mean, he's really not that attractive of a guy.
Wow, you're gonna get some detractors.
I don't know. I think he's a pretty handsome man.
Okay, well, you know what? I am going.
I'm saying.
I'm going on record saying I don't think he's that good looking. If that makes you stop listening to the HooperCast, then I'm not Hooper, so it really doesn't affect me. Sorry, man.
Well, I'm just gonna cut all that out. So listenership.
So people don't stop listening.
What did you think of casting?
I actually wanted to look. There were people that I recognized, but I could not put a name to
swear
their
to
face.
God, the bishop was the original Jean Valjean.
Might have been.
I think he was, and I didn't really realize it until that final scene. And I
heard you say something to him, but I
heard the voice. I heard the voice. I was like, man, because when we would do the opera version of it, we'd watch it in class.
Yeah,
we would always make fun of him because he kind of sounded like Sean Connery. And I heard that, and I was like, oh, that's him. And it showed his face. I was like, God damn, that looks like him.
Yeah, I like.
He is old.
I liked the mix of known to unknown actors. I think that it was great. I'd like to talk about Hugh Jackman for a second. I've always liked him.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him once where I've been like, loser.
Have you ever watched Australia? He doesn't do a bad job. The movie's just like, oh my gosh, really?
Well, there you go. He doesn't do a bad job. I have not seen it.
He plays his character well.
Yeah, and I like him as a person. From what I've read of him in interviews and stuff, and just seeing the work that he's done, I like him as an actor, and so it was great to see him go through the changes that Jean Valjean goes through, and to see him sort of become wiser and become a clear understanding of what he is supposed to be doing as a person, and he really sold me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think he was the perfect choice for that part because he had that theater background and the musical background.
Yeah, very good.
To be perfectly honest with you, when I found out, and Sam, maybe you can shed a little more light on this, but when I found out Sacha Baron Cohen was playing Thenardier, I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way this guy can really take it seriously. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, you know what? This would be the part for him to play
because it's not. It's supposed to be comic relief. It's not the most serious role, even though really he is like the biggest asshole.
Oh,
in the whole.
He's the sleaze of the sleaze.
Right, but that's doesn't that fit Sacha Baron Cohen? Him
Well,
being the sleaze.
And that's the thing. Like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, maybe I really want to give him a chance in this, and I think he pulled it off. I think he did
When he was cast,
masterful
I remember thinking that's a pun. First of all,
masterful job.
Second of all, I thought I agreed, but I thought his role is really supposed to be just comic relief. But I knew at least from digging into all the Sweeney Todd features and stuff, when Sacha Baron Cohen read for his part, when he auditioned for his part, he sang the entire Fiddler on the Roof. I think it was either Fiddler on the Roof or West Side Story, the entire thing. And I remember once I heard that, I thought, well, this guy isn't just like a comedian who can carry a tune. He wants to take it seriously. Yeah, he takes his work very seriously, despite any of his movies you may see. He knows what he's doing, and I don't know if this is still a thing, but I'm pretty sure he's playing Freddie Mercury in a Queen movie.
Really?
And
I think he'd be good.
He'd be good for that.
I think he
looks like
really
him.
Well.
Yeah,
and he can sing. Like if you've seen Sweeney Todd, and the fact that if you know the music of those stories,
I didn't even know he was in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, and he's good. He's a very good singer with a lot of range. And so when I heard he was in this, I was like. I was the only negative thought I had was he's not going to have much to do. Yeah. Like, it's almost a pity, but he's perfect.
Well, that's the same thing with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
There's only so much of that part.
But to see what she goes through.
But she blew it out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she nailed it.
And that's and that's just another one of those things.
Those are two prostitute puns.
I'm a pretty funny guy.
Jack with the puns.
But that's another one of those things that you just can't really do on stage is you can portray those things, but you can't really put the whole. You can't get a good context around it like you can in a movie. You can't have the whole. I don't know, just the feel of those places where she was. You can tell. Like,
it's really sold by set design and
background.
That's the thing, with a movie, you can go in and make a distressed, derelict ship that's been washed up where she's going to bone all these, or get boned by all these dudes. And, it doesn't matter what theater company you work for.
Rape is not funny.
It is not.
The HooperCast does not endorse rape in a positive light.
We do not, nor I assume. I'm speaking for
okay.
Nor does it.
She did kind of become a whore. She didn't want to, but it was out of circumstance.
Enough.
So I wouldn't call
that's
it.
That's what I'm saying. Nor does the HooperCast endorse prostitution.
Yes, we don't endorse prostitution or rape.
But it doesn't matter.
Really, sex is bad. Do you notice? Okay, just another random tidbit. Did you notice a lot of the homeless people look like they had herpes all over the face?
I was gonna say I think it was all syphilis.
Okay.
Just a quick note. This is pretty much when we start spoiling the film. So if you haven't seen Les Mis or you don't know the story, then walk away, and I'll put in the time code when you should resume listening.
There was just some serious face herpes.
Yeah, going
stuff.
Yeah, the story doesn't end happy. They're not on the stage during the finale for a reason, because they're all dead.
Because they're all dead. No, they are on stage because they're all dead.
We all talked about this when we walked out of the theater, and this is just nitpicking, but it really aggravated me. One of the last song, one of the last lines of that song is, "We shall walk behind the plowshare and put away the sword." And here are all these angry people on this giant-ass barricade in the middle of Paris singing about how they're all peacefully dead now, shaking muskets and swords and knives. And it's like, well, obviously you've missed the entire point of the movie. Or book, or play, whatever.
True.
And just that.
Along with Anne Hathaway, who, Jack, I think you mentioned, and I think is really a no-brainer, is she will definitely get nominated for this.
If she doesn't win, I would be upset. And it's almost a shame that she doesn't have a bigger part in the movie, so that she can't be nominated for
displayed
like
more.
best leading actress.
Well, that's
or,
why I liked the
you know,
long shots, is because it really displays the talent of these actors. To go,
right.
if you, I won't even talk about Hugh Jackman's song, but it's worth talking about. But just to see the emotion that she goes through in one take,
Yeah.
like, is mesmerizing. Like,
Well,
And I felt the same way about Russell Crowe, where at the end of his part,
right.
that was really, I mean, you could see him sitting there. And
you see the change.
You can see he's just been, this whole time after Jean Valjean, and now he's, like, his world's turned upside down. Like,
Right.
you can actually see him, like, he's pacing there, like, what? Like, what do I know that's real anymore?
But and that's the thing too, though, is that he's doing it in that kind of playful manner that when he sings Stars, that he's doing on top of that tower, where he's walking with half his foot off the edge, and it's like a 100-foot plummet down to the stony streets of Paris, and he's doing that same familiar walk on this bridge and kind of flirting with danger. But the difference is he's doing that playfully in one scene, and he's not so playful in that other.
He's really...
And what sold it for me is when the change you can kind of see in his eyes between those two shots.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the one he's determined, he's driven, he's confident, and in the other he doesn't know what to think. He is lost.
And it really just takes tremendous performers to really make that shine through. Because at the end, when it starts with the character, and it's a lot to do with writing, but really, I mean, it's the acting. That's what people see. That's those little subtle things that people just understand in their, just from seeing it is so important. And having good performers able to convey that in one song, in one take, is great. There's two ways to shoot a scene. I'm gonna drop a little scat on you guys.
Okay, do it.
But they teach you there's and here's how much I remember, because I don't remember I remember one, not the other. You can shoot a scene. I think it's called like the master approach or something. Master scene technique. It's pretty much you shoot the scene like almost every scene is shot, which is you do. Two guys are talking. I shoot Sam's sides. I shoot Jack's sides. I shoot maybe a master shot of the entire room.
Right.
And then from all that in editing, I pick which coverage I want, which takes are the best, and what makes sense more with the blocking. And the second way is called mise en scène. It's French. It's pretty much means in the scene. And that's where you pretty much do it in one take. You either have the camera wander between one character or another, but it's one take. It moves throughout the room. And it's harder because you have to hide mics, you have to use lavalier mics, you have to hide your crew, you have to hide lights. Shooting just a bust shot of you is easy,
right?
Because you can put a light right off camera. You pretty much have to hide everything or use natural light. It's also harder because if one of you fucks up the scene, you do another take,
right.
Or if you mess up your audio, you have to dub it in later over you. And the advantage of the scene is people feel like they're more in it because they're watching it unfold in real time. So it's tougher to pull off mise en scene, but if you have good writing and good actors, they're the most effective scenes in a film. And that's why I appreciated this never cutting away from Anne Hathaway while she's singing, because every moment she's giving you is truthful and resonates, as opposed to having to use maybe even just cutting away from her once, having to piece together her performance. It's more powerful seeing it all at once.
Yeah.
And that's why, but you don't see that a lot in movies, but when you do, as much as I have a problem with Quentin Tarantino's half of his films, he uses that a lot. If you watch his better film like Jackie Brown or Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs, you see a lot of mise-en-scene, especially in Pulp Fiction, a lot of mise-en-scene, and it's used very effectively because you've got great actors, and they did that here with the songs. And I'm not saying that the mise-en-scene is all over the place in this film, but when it is, it shows, and you really feel it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to also mention, like we said, Russell Crowe. I've always liked Javert as a character, the kind of guy who would admit, who admits to not doing his job to 100% effectiveness, and pretty much offers to be fired, basically, Like, I've submitted a false report, I should be judged. He believes in justice so much that he himself is not exempt from the law.
But that's kind of the irony of it too. Is
Right.
That he's sitting here laying himself out, saying, "Oh, I accused you of something you didn't do."
Right. But he's right.
But he's right, and it's I'm right there with you on that. He's the perfect bad guy because he's like, man, you can't really fault him for what he's doing,
right?
But you're like, man, I really hate him for being so black and white about it. But he says kind of the nature of the beast. But oh man, come on, look at how good this guy's become.
Javert is basically Batman.
If
Batman was hunting, the protagonist. I mean, and it sounds so like how hard it is to play a guy who believes in justice. Very hard.
Pretty hard.
Because the very description is one-dimensional. To portray it three-dimensionally can be a difficult thing.
In that respect, it's almost like, well, the easiest scene would be that last scene, his last scene.
Right.
But
to earn that.
But that being said, you have to take that character through the journey to that point.
Right.
And I think he does it phenomenally. And Javert in particular, you get to see him. It's like Jean Valjean's the only one that's ever gotten away from him, and so like his superiors are like, "Hey, you're the bee's knees. We're gonna keep promoting you. Oh, by the way, keep going after this dude.
Yeah,
you'll catch him. We know you will."
Jean Valjean is his white whale, so.
And just the fact that despite his impeccable record as an inspector, the fact that he is dissatisfied with not catching one person.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is at the end you kind of realize, like, man, these are kind of these two guys are really the only two friends each other have,
right?
And they want to fucking kill each other.
Yeah.
Or not kill each other, but
they can't.
One wants to put
neither of them.
They can't live with each other.
Neither
but
of
they
them
can't live with each other without each other.
Neither of them can live in peace because the other is out there.
Javert can't really. You see it become that Javert can't live without chasing Valjean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not necessarily that Valjean can't live without Javert. It's that Javert. The thing keeping him going is this chase and this hunt.
But I think that also applies to Valjean, especially when he has the opportunity to finally to kill him.
Yeah.
Like obviously, he's been shown mercy, and that's why he does it.
Right.
But there's, a large part of you that could just, end the madness there.
I think that's more. I think that has more to do with
something.
I mean, that's.
Yeah,
it's a good character dynamic because it's weird, like a Batman thing. It's like they're both Batman. Like he's not going to kill Javert because that's not really right. Because even if it would free him from him having to run, he still sees it as an immoral act. And the fact that really all this is happening is because Javert believes so absolutely in justice. Like even though Valjean's you can see that's his dilemma. He's a just man. He's a good person who really just got dealt a raw deal, but just the fact that he is by definition a criminal.
But that's the thing, though. That's kind of the the catch-22 of the entire story is that it's just about everybody who's been dealt a raw deal. I mean, even Javert was dealt a raw deal. Yeah. He was born in a prison.
Yeah.
And became an inspector.
And this is kind of a side note, but I think the way that things were captured, like over time, like they did the cuts where 6 years later, 8 years later, 9 years later, whatever it was, but you could actually, it's just another one of those things that you can't capture really as well on stage, but like you see these characters actually age rather than being something like that, being like a different actor or something like that would have to be in a play,
right?
And I think that's another thing they did well. I mean, I guess, you got to give props to, like, the hair and makeup people. Like, you could see the age, like, coming over both of those characters throughout the whole movie. And you could see how, like, this whole, not charade, but wild goose chase thing had worn on them.
Right.
And, that goes to acting, and I think it has a good portion with, like, the production value, the hair and makeup and all that sort of thing.
Right.
In that first scene, all I could think of was there's got to be some easier way to get a ship into that dry dock. Because, like, when we did it, there was, like, we just carried around a heavy rope. Like,
what's funny is that we carried a rope in a circle. Like,
exactly?
What were we pulling?
Exactly. There was nothing we were doing, and, like, they were not like, okay, you're prisoners in a shipyard, and they're pulling this big-ass ship in.
I feel like...
And, like, when I saw that, I was like, there's got to be some easier way to get that ship into that dry dock.
I feel like the difference between their prison and our prison was in their prison, it's like, okay, we have a ship to pull in. And our prison was like, there's no ship, but there's a rope. Let's just make them walk in a fucking circle.
Just be a chain gang.
And let's spray some scrubs and maybe tear some holes in them.
Do you remember when you got your scrubs? They're like, hey, run over with your car. I actually was like, okay. And I ran over with my car. Like, I just threw it. I put it in the street and I rolled over it. Like, I laid on the gas so the wheel would spin a little bit. And, like, it got caught in my wheel well. And I was like, yeah, this is sweet.
I don't even remember.
There are some kids who cut them up with scissors. I'm like, there are no scissors.
This has got to be historically accurate.
Yeah, I was like,
this high school production needs to be impeccable.
Now, there were tires and wheel wells, of course, but no scissors.
What did y'all think of Eponine? I thought she did a great job.
Great.
I think Eponine is in literature and music a classic tragic character. You know, like,
I would agree.
Unrequited love.
But unrequited love, you know, you never gets what she really wants, except for maybe, you know,
at the end
of her part.
And even then,
it's not even that she's really getting what she wants. But it's that she's getting some level of comfort.
It's like a simulation of what she wants. It's this like final acknowledgement by Marius that, like, oh shit, she's into me. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Oh,
too little, too late."
Right,
but sort of spoilers for the movie.
Okay. Whoops, my bad. I assume if you
something happens to Eponine,
but, like, you know, she's like, "Oh well, I'm content to live this charade for several moments," and it's, you know, Marius is completely willing to allow her to live that charade for how.
It's sad because, like,
it's her final moment.
Okay, spoilers. Eponine dies. So,
I mean, we were talking about Russell Crowe standing on a bridge ready to jump.
Well, we didn't say... Well, damn it, we didn't say what he did.
You can cut it off.
Okay, everybody's miserable in this movie, and probably everybody dies. Marius,
Fontaine dies, Jean Valjean dies.
In the sequel, Marius dies of a flesh-eating bacteria.
What's his name? Little kid dies.
Oh, Gavroche dies.
Yeah, Gavroche dies.
Well, all the revolutionaries die except for Marius.
Okay, that scene. Let's talk about that scene. That scene was not as moving as I thought it should have been. Okay, obviously by that point it's kind of an emotional overload. Yeah. But at the same point, I just, like...
I'm wondering who the guard was who was like,
fuck this kid. I'm taking this little 6-year-old boy.
I haven't killed anybody in this entire exchange. If I don't kill someone today, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
I gotta get some fucking street cred.
And see, that's the one thing that, like, I was waiting to see what they did, and they kind of showed it a little bit, but when he gets shot, there's, like, the one French army guy that they look at, and he's like, oh shit.
It's the officer. And of course,
but it's not the guy that shot.
I don't know if
it's the officer. It's the officer who's in charge, and I'm like, just saying, this would be the reaction of every officer that's not completely fucked up. That would be like, holy shit, somebody under my command just killed a fucking kid. My life is over. My entire platoon's life is over. Everybody in my chain of fucking command's life is over.
He's like, well, we are all going to get court-martialed for this. Thanks a lot, Todd.
Yeah, it's like the Marine.
I'm sorry, he did not look like a big guy. He was very little.
He was coming at us. He was picking stuff up off the barricade.
And it's like, okay, they start off, and the one dude's like, I'll shoot the coffin next to his head, and he, like, shoots the coffin,
just a warning shot.
And he's they're like,
that's like, why stop there? Let's kill him.
Well, and like, you know, the officer, like,
rogue officer.
That's like the thing in the back of the officer's head. He's like, I should probably stop this, but I'll just let the jets blow off some steam. Yeah. They're shooting coffins. So what if there's a kid that happens to be like, bam, you've killed an entire village of Afghans.
Not to mention, he shoots Gavroche, which ultimately the first shot would have probably eventually killed him. him.
Yeah,
Gavroche
let's be
is like,
realistic. The
Gavroche is
bullets
like,
if not killed him, it would have maimed him.
he would have died of a terribly painful gut wound.
shot.
So Gavroche is shot in the gut, and he's like, I'm still going to pick things up
and sing because I'm peppy.
Yeah, and the commanding officer is not go, whoa.
Holy
guys,
shit, let's fucking
wait
hold
a
your
second.
fire. Get up. You go stand in the fucking corner.
Yeah,
and think about what
give
you've
me
done.
give me your rifle. He just goes.
Go stand at the barricade and think about what you've done.
He just goes, and like turns his head, and then like the guy's like, it's not enough. Shoot him again. And the
bastard's still out there singing.
commanding officer's
I
like,
hate songs.
once again is like, not a big deal. And then third shot,
he
kills Gavroche, and then he's like, oh wait, he's dead now. Could have prevented this.
And it's not even like he's just like he's just like shit. Fuck, I'm gonna tell him to give up their arms. I'm just gonna be like, hey, this is your last chance. Okay, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, I think we all give this movie an overwhelmingly positive review.
Two thumbs up.
Not only for succeeding in bringing the musical to life and the story to life, but also for taking a risk in how they were going to do it and having that pay off.
I honestly think that this is probably the best performance of this
that I've seen,
that I've ever seen, and probably that's.
I give movies points for two things. You need to entertain me, tell me a story and have me just believe it in general.
Yeah,
musicals are tough because they sort of walk a line of being not grounded, unbelievable, and just not really
because we're not actually walking around,
not really rooted in human behavior.
But that's the thing that's the thing that I think separates something like this or Phantom of the Opera. These aren't necessarily musicals so much as they're almost operas because everything's sung through. And you look at most operas or musicals, and they're silly and they're funny and other than Rent, but that's just dumb because everybody's got AIDS. AIDS. But you can edit that part.
Spoiler: if you didn't know what happened in Rent,
if you
that's
are
not
the
true.
one
Some characters get AIDS. Some of them.
But the typical musical is like like The Producers, Hairspray, Spamalot.
Really hammy.
Yeah, even Wicked. It deals with some pretty. Wicked deals with some pretty deep stuff. But it's all done play. You got songs like Popular.
It's not shown for what it is.
Wicked. Yeah, it's hidden behind that playful what Oz is, and even in the Wizard of Oz, was playfully hidden behind like. Oh, the Tin Man's about to fall over. We have to rush over this side, and we have to rush over that side, and make sure he stands upright. It was all whatever, and that's partly because of the time period it's written in. But when you sit down with something, I don't think you can even compare Les Mis to Phantom of the Opera in its seriousness, because this is, if I've never actually read Les Miserables, the book, because it's huge. Yeah. But when you I've read the synopsis of it on Wikipedia, which doesn't make me an expert at all. But this is a story of a French man writing a French story about some really miserable people.
Yeah.
Just there.
That is the title.
It is, and that's why my dad always calls it the miserable fuckers, because they are all miserable fuckers. Even the people who survive don't have anything to look forward to. They just go back to their shitty life. It's awful. And so it deals with some really...
I'd like to think that at the very end there's some sort of happy... they
got
married.
Yeah, for the main...
Another spoiler.
But the common people, they just go back to their fucking miserable lives.
Shitty lives, yeah.
Yeah, like what happens to the Thenardiers. They're still just fucking scam artists.
Okay. My one gripe of the movie is that there were certain things... I can get over the...
Wait, I still get to finish my thought.
Okay,
excuse me.
Sorry. We get sidetracked a lot.
I made my first point that I want a movie to entertain me. The second is if it tries something different that might end up making the entire movie suck, but ends up succeeding, I give it points for that. I think doing the whole, like you said, singing live and in the take is very ballsy, and being able... This movie should get a lot of technical points for being able to... having gone through a post-production class, 2 of them, I don't know why I just said that because it made me sound like a
Not just one, but two.
but two classes. Advanced post production, if you please, which I got an A in.
Oh, now he's bragging about his
accolades.
Touch you twice.
So, but just this thinking technically about not only do I have to use their voices from this take, and if their voice sucks, I have to use a different take, and then if we do that, and scoring it, we have to keep up with the songs being sung not quite on tempo. That's difficult. It must have been very difficult from the technical side to really make that approach work. But I admire the commitment to giving the actors a way to express themselves more spontaneously with the songs and having the crew sort of support that. And that's unity of teamwork and filmmaking and the crew supporting the performances like that.
Unity of command.
Yeah.
That's what we would call
Yes. And I think that this film succeeds wildly in that category. I'd like to hear your gripes now.
I only have the one gripe, and that's that they cut my personal favorite song out of Thénardier's repertoire.
Sam played Thénardier.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured that out
Whatever.
yet.
Anyway.
Aren't you that guy from Pirates of Penzance?
Oh, God. Anyway.
I was Benjamin.
That's not even French.
No, that was the name of the Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it?
I'm talking about Joseph's brother. I'm skipping ahead to
Joseph?
Amazing Technicolor
Oh,
Dreamcoat.
okay. I don't even
that
remember
was
what the hell I played.
That was just a terrible musical.
Oh my god, I don't know why we did that. It's
Okay.
probably because they were like, well, we just did fucking Les Mis last year. Anything else we do is gonna
You really
suck.
can't
Yeah.
We
come back with anything after that.
we were like the first high school to do it.
Yeah, I still
And-
submit that we should have done Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh my god.
Why?
So
That
we-
would have been
okay,
so
well,
much fun.
Okay, just for the record, we all went to a Catholic high school and we had to jump through all these hoops to get the administration of the high school to allow us to do it, and then the Archbishop of the diocese to allow us to do it.
Because there was 4 cuss words in it.
Well, and then it's about, and there's just a whole lot of prostitution in it.
It was just, it was tough because we had to, even to do Les Mis, I had to get a note. I had to pretty much bring a note to Mr. Blackburn saying,
We can grow
we need to grow out our hair. Yeah.
Our hair,
Well, no,
our-
we couldn't do our facial hair.
Yeah, he
I thought he gave us a week.
No,
Well, I didn't.
No, he was like, no
no
facial hair. You can grow out your hair as much
I
as
don't
you
know.
want.
I probably was still in that phase where it just looked really shitty.
Mine looks
I know
probably-
I
mine-
was.
mine
I know
was
I
terrible.
I know I was because I remember the next year, after that summer, I tried to do it at course camp, and I didn't look stupid.
I remember straightening my beard at course camp.
God, we sound like such fucking nerds talking about course camp. Can you edit this part out?
Go
Please. Anyway,
I dream the dream of time of
Oh man.
but anyway, that was my one gripe. They cut out my favorite part, which I personally think was the best that I've ever done.
Oh, when the
Because
power went out?
That was really
that is
good.
my
That
that is my
was.
glory moment, and they cut it out. I was ready to see it.
Well, no, I remember my
I
dad
remember-
was at that show.
I remember
and
lying
my
on the
stepmom-
ground going, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Haley is sitting there
And she's
directing.
She's doing this and going, shit,
Her and Doc
shit.
are slamming on the piano, and all you hear is Miss Haley go, shit.
And there's this pause, and I'm sure it only lasted 2 or 3 seconds, but to everybody on stage who knew what the fuck was going on,
it was an
it
eternity.
was so long. And
I'm on the
Sam's just
ground.
here's this pretty red, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Starts
oh my
singing,
God.
and I'm like,
It's just
oh,
power
okay,
goes
yeah.
out.
and it flashes back on because to be honest, if it just stayed out, we would have been fucked because
Well, if it had stayed out,
we would have.
well, if it stayed out, yeah, because we wouldn't.
Because we would have been.
But
able
I
to
could
get
have
shoes and
done
stuff.
that one small part.
Well, exactly, but the rest of the entire show, which
Would've-
this was at the very end,
Or towards the end.
Towards the end. You probably still had
It's
30
yeah,
minutes
it was
left in the
halfway
show.
through the second act, so there was still
Yeah.
a good part left.
But, all the other parts that we're listening for off stage are all cued by this music because it's an opera. It's an
Yeah.
opera, so there's no spoken parts.
Right.
And fortunately, the power comes back on, but I remember my dad and my stepmom being like, wow, that was a really good acapella part Sam did. That was... I'm really glad they put that in there. I was like, that wasn't supposed to be in there.
That was
the
not
power
supposed
went
to
out,
happen.
and Sam was like, well, Time to put on the big boy pants.
Can't remember how often I fell, like, because the scene before that,
everybody's getting shot.
Yeah, all the revolutionaries are getting killed.
Yeah,
and
laying on stage.
And we had to fall down, and we had to lay there for like.
It was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
It was a while.
Just being dead.
And it was a significant amount. It was enough
You're
of
dead
amount of time that you could like take a nap.
Yeah, there was a period y'all are all just laying on the ground dead, and there's just music going, like nothing else is happening.
Yeah.
It's just showing everybody dead.
Like they spin the barricade around, they put it backstage, you wait for that to happen.
And then I come up and start molesting people and taking their shit.
Dude, like, there's so many times. One time I just fell on Ian. I fell right on top of him, and I kicked him in the balls. And I remember we got backstage, and he hit me, and he was like, "Don't fucking do that again." So what happened? He was like, "My balls." I just remember that night, I'm laying there, and I always peeked one eye open because I was like not facing the audience because I wanted to be able to like look around, look at shit.
I see what's going on.
So I noticed the side lights go out. I was like, and I don't hear the piano. I was like, uh-oh. What's Sam gonna do?
I literally, I'm sitting
like
there, and
you're
I'm like
picking up the rings, and you're like, I didn't have eyes on you, but I just heard you like still doing your thing, presumably trying to figure out what should I do, and then just stillness and silence, and then I thought, are they just gonna tell us to get off the stage? I don't know what's gonna be called. And then I just hear, "Here's a pretty ring," and I'm like, oh, wow. I was impressed, yeah.
In hindsight, maybe not the best move, but it worked out.
It worked
Like,
out.
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't know what else I would have done, but like, I'm sitting there and, I walk in through the side of that side door of the auditorium, and I'm supposed to, walk up the steps, check one dead body, and then start going. Well, I walk up the steps, and while I'm checking I check the one body, and then I'm like moving to this other guy so that I can like face the audience and look up. And that's when I hear Miss Haley go, shit. And I'm like, well, I'm just dick around on this guy's body for a minute. Which sounds really homosex, and it's not. But
it is.
But I'm like, okay.
Especially because
I'm sitting here like slapping somebody in the face, like picking their pocket, trying to figure out what to do, and I'm like, I'm just going for it. I don't know what else to do.
You didn't slap gingerly these people's faces either.
Yeah,
no, I was.
I remember being.
These people had to like lay there.
I slapped the shit out of Ian one time.
I remember one time you tickled me on stage in front of my family. You were just like.
I'm really glad you didn't do that to me because everyone's like, stop. I'm a zombie. I'm a French Revolution zombie.
But I knew you weren't facing the audience. I don't remember. I do it, and I see your face go.
I remember thinking like I thought he's doing this because I told him I'm really worried about being able to stay really still and dead, and you're just like, let me capitalize on your insecurities and tickle the fuck out of you on stage during the show, and you're just like going through my pockets. Like it was really subtle because you like patted my pockets and you sort of gave a little like on the side, and I'm going like, stop it.
Can we talk about set design for a second?
Yes.
I'm just going to throw this out there. We failed. We would have had the most asbestos barricade ever if only we had been like this movie and had 3 coffins out front and 2 elephant tusks.
We needed the coffins. The coffins would have.
Okay, now who?
The elephant
in
tusks
that scene
are really my thing. Yeah, because they're like,
in that
throw
scene,
shit out your
they're
windows.
like, just give us all your fucking possessions. Not to mention,
Just throw shit out your windows.
We are so poor. But give us all of your expensive wooden furniture, and then
There's a nice sofa.
They throw it out. One guy's like, he throws out his dresser out the window, and it breaks on impact on the ground. It's like, well, nobody wins because not only can we not use this for the barricade, your fucking furniture is broken.
I want to know who the fuck had those 2 elephant tusks. With the elephant tusks just like chill. They're like, oh,
do you know how much ivory is worth? You could have moved out of that neighborhood with that much ivory.
You can obviously tell they're wooden. I just want to know who like went to that elephant thing and was like, I'm going to take this because it's pretty retro and I'm going to hang it.
Pretty retro.
It's pretty modern art to hang
They also had a street lamp thing in their barricade as well.
Yeah, and what the fuck is Marius thinking wanting to blow up the entire shit? Like, oh, come on.
That was some
I'm not going to lie. If I was the French dude sitting there talking to him with a pistol in my hand, I'd been like, all right, dead. Revolution's over, bitch.
I feel like half the revolution. No, Marius, don't. Your life. The other half are like, we have to give some of this furniture back. We can't. This is not ours.
I did like the one character who's like talking to the old fat lady who doesn't want to get out of her chair. She's like, I'm keeping my one chair, and he's like, make out with me, and he's really fucking like making out with her hardcore, and he just like grabs that chair, spins around, I'm like
fatty, and takes her chair.
Doesn't even like set it like somewhere that it might survive the battle. He fucking just is like, it's going on top where the first bullets go, and it's the most minuscule little chair, too.
I feel like
that did not add to the barricade.
I feel like if Tara and I lived in those times, and I was like, yeah, revolution, and I just tossed all our chairs out the window, she'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
She would probably kick you in the
Where are we
nuts.
gonna sit? You stupid bastard.
What are our children gonna do? Now they have to play on the floor.
Expensive furniture. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
We don't make a lot anyways. That's the only thing
I'm just now realizing this, but you know what's funny about that? Is that all the buildings, everywhere, they're throwing shit out the windows. Mm-hmm. The table and chair are still in the room at the end of the movie where he's talking about them being in the revolution. So
one guy was like, stop it. This is my table.
This is our table.
Which goes back to the whole, you're gonna make the fat woman out of her chair. Like, you can't just run upstairs, leave the woman her chair, run upstairs, grab those other two chairs.
You're gonna make everyone else throw their belongings out the window.
You know what I bet I bet
we're keeping this table.
I bet it was one dude who's like, you know what? I'm gonna leave this here in case Marius is the only one of us who survives, and he wants to come back and see his sad soul. Somebody sad that he's the only one who survives.
Somebody's gonna want to have a drink, and they're not gonna have anywhere to sit, and that's gonna be very, very uncomfortable. Because Tom Lennon is this remaining.
Even though we're gonna be
everybody is
even
going
though
to
that this place is
fall
gonna be
down.
shot up, we're still gonna be serving booze.
Yes, Joss Whedon. Yes.
Recurring
Recurring joke. Okay. Well, we've been going on for a little bit. The movie's good. Go see it if you're not deterred by us pretty much ruining all the plot points.
Jesus, you're so stern.
I think we all give it a thumbs up.
Definitely.
I still haven't figured out a unique rating system for the podcast, so I'm just going to steal Ebert and Roper's or Siskel and Ebert's.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing about one of the previews? And I said it to Sam, but you weren't there yet. It was for the Oz.
Mm-hmm. The Great and Powerful.
Yeah. And it's where Mila Kunis is like, are you the great man we've been waiting for? And I turn to Sam and I say, I feel like that's a dumb question to ask. Because everybody's seen The Wizard of Oz. And if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, the answer to that question is no. No, he's not at all. He's a scared little bitch who hides behind the curtain. Until a prepubescent teen girl gets sucked up by a tornado and fixes everything. So I feel like this entire movie is null and void now. And that's...
I disagree with you.
Okay, fine. Also, I never got to my grunt. They cut out... Grunt? They put my
your
one... Whatever. Yes.
Your gripe.
My gripe. Thank you. I'm retarded sometimes.
Jack's talking about his grundle. He's got one grundle with this film.
I had one line to sing in the solo of a solo, and it was really half a line, and it was in the song "Drink with Me," and it's like the first verse of that song, and they cut that shit out. So at least you had songs that you sang that were still in there. The one thing I sang was out.
I need to see this.
There's also what are we gonna do with the snake in the grass? And you go, shoot him! You're like the hothead who's like, let's just kill him. And everyone else is like, no, dude. And you're like, no. You're gonna judge me now. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, kill him!
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, what are we gonna do with the snake in the grass? You're like, shoot him! And I remember watching you over the amount of time we rehearsed that scene, you getting more and more into the fact that like he's I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, like
I'll fucking do it. I'll fucking try. Do it.
Every time we rehearsed that, your eyes got wider and wider. Like you were just like, shoot him, and Mateo was like, no, I want you to like really be like you want to shoot him. You're like, shoot him! So by the time we're doing like the final show,
I walked up and like kicked Duffy in the balls, stabbed in his mouth, and was like, shoot the bastard!
And pretty much,
kill him!
The rest of us are like, let's hold him back.
Hold on, maybe we should think rationally about this. And Miss Haley's like, no, you're not going to be rational.
Yeah. Anyway, good movie.
Good talk.
Definitely
good performances, good music, true to the story, and
honestly
really good adaptation.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but I honestly think that probably some of the greatest acting and just production in general that I've seen in a movie in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just takes a lot to bring that sort of thing to screen, and I think they did a phenomenal job.
I'm not saying that it should win every Oscar, but it should win every Oscar.
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to because they're not.
That's just not
Because they're going to hear this one podcast and the Hollywood...
The Academy is strictly
It's
against
going to be like,
Connor.
you know what? You know what, Jack Conwell? Fuck you. And they're not going to make it win any, so I'm sorry, Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe and all those other people that were in that movie.
What would... Okay. I mean, this is just... I'm confused on how this would work. Who would they both be lead actors, or is Russell Crowe technically supporting actor?
I don't know who they're all supporting.
question.
I mean,
They
is
all
it
support each other.
is it Valjean's story, or is it really
Everybody?
It really is an ensemble cast, but I do feel like the main character is Jean Valjean.
No.
He's the one you are following for the most part. Even though the fact that not every scene is with him suggests that he's not the main character, but you follow him. He's the first character you encounter in the movie, and he's the last one you follow.
I think it's fair to say that he's the main character of the first act, and Marius is the main character of the second act.
I'd say he's the main character, but really just by nose. You know, it's really about everybody.
Fair enough.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, well, stay tuned for episode 36 of the HooperCast, which, if I'm not lazy, will be really about me and Dustin talking about our favorite movies of the year. But every time I make a promise on the podcast, it doesn't happen, so it might not be that. It might just be me pooping.
Into a microphone.
Me just pooping.
I don't know that I want to hear that.
Not gay.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
See you later.
Goodbye.